Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Ben 10 Retrospectives. And today we're going to be talking about episode 31 of the original Ben 10 series, Benwolf. And in this episode, Ben gets his first crush, which isn't really the most important thing, but it does have some nice character moments. But anyway, Ben, Gwen, and Max the Tennysons go onto an Indian reservation and see one of Max's old plumber buddies, Wes Green, as we learn his name is. And while there, Ben develops a crush on Wes's granddaughter, Kai. But within the first few minutes of them being there, a storm seems to erupt, which has strange purple lightning. Everyone starts running for cover, and from a flash of purple lightning, we see this strange creature. It looks like a wolf, which it doesn't really do anything. But just before anyone can question it, the storm causes a flash flood. Everyone gets to high ground. Ben saves Kai from being swept away, and the creature gets away, taking a satellite dish with it. So, Wes believes that this creature is the Yenaldushi, which is Navajo werewolf, and that it's here is a bad omen, that trouble is coming, and that it's upset that technology is on its sacred land, and that pretty much it's a problem that needs to be taken care of, as with its arrival people start leaving the reservation. They need to get it off. So Wes, Max, and Ben all go out while Kai and Gwen stay behind, and Gwen figuring out that Ben has a crush on Kai because Ben asks if Gwen will say some nice things about him while he's gone. But anyway, while they're out, the werewolf attacks them, and we finally see a better look out of it. And I'm just gonna say right now that I actually kind of like the design of this thing. It definitely looks like it doesn't look like what you expect a werewolf to look like, but it does look threatening. It's buff. It has some. I like the design of its claws. I love its mouth, and I love how it acts. It really is just sort of a bestial. It's like we kind of figure out later that it does have some form of intelligence, and that it is kind of smart. But I love the design of it, and I love how it acts with working with it. It's just vicious. It keeps attacking. It knows where to go. It really does act like an animal. With the body it has and the ferocity, it really works. But anyway, it knocks Ben, Max, and Wes off of a canyon because that's where they were. Ben goes alien to save them, and then he goes to fight the werewolf. But during the battle, the Omnitrix times out, and the werewolf tries to attack Ben and manages to scratch the Omnitrix. But Wes and Max arrive, ward it off, and as it's leaving, the Omnitrix starts glowing yellow, but Ben doesn't pay it any mind. But when they get back to the reservation, Ben meets up with Kai, who's learned about what Ben did, because Max because Max did not tell Wes immediately that Ben had superpowers. But Ben starts talking himself up, but as he starts itching like crazy, and his skin suddenly starts turning blue. His hair starts growing out. His hands and toes turn into claws, and it turns out he is in fact transforming into a werewolf himself. Because when he fought the werewolf as Wildvine, because that was the alien, it bit him at one point. So they assume that Ben is now transforming into Yenaldushi, because that's how it works. And so the only way to cure Ben is to take out this werewolf, but they need this kind of cactus juice from this cactus called the Alborda Matrimonio. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but they have to do this quickly because Ben is turning quickly, like he starts getting a little buffer. And here's a nice little tidbit that I kind of found amusing, is that they actually kind of synthetically alter Tara Strong's voice for when Ben starts transforming into this thing, and you can tell, like, because it still sounds like Ben. Not just in the way he speaks, but the way the voice sounds. It really does sound like Tara Strong's voice altered. Which, it's supposed to be how it is with all of whenever Ben transforms into an alien. But in this case, they really did synthesize it to help kind of show the transition from Ben to his ultimate form. But either way, the guys go off in search of the werewolf while Gwen and Kai go off to find the cactus. And so they finally do it. Ben finally fully transforming. They try and subdue it as best they can, but it's still proving a little strong. Ben is about to go alien to fight it, but he finds that the Omnitrix is no longer on his wrist. He doesn't, but Gwen and Kai manage to find the cactus, and they bring it to because I'm sorry. Apparently, I'm sorry. I actually forgot to mention this. Apparently, the only way to kill the Yenal Dushi is to place a silver pendant on its heart, but the silver pendant has to have juice from the cactus. I apologize if I did not mention that. I might have, but I don't know. But either way, Kai and Gwen manage to get the cactus to Wes, who soaks the medallion. Ben manages to hold the werewolf in place, but when they place it on its heart, nothing happens. They're wondering what's going on. And then when it gets away, Ben starts just kind of shuddering, and then there are a few flashes of light, and suddenly Ben's clothes start shifting, and finally it turns out that, and then suddenly the symbol of the Omnitrix appears, and it turns out that this is actually not, the transformation wasn't because the werewolf bit him, it was because he's in Ben, and this whole time he's been slowly transforming into a new alien, which, as the name of the episode states, is Benwolf, and who is later renamed Blitzwolf for an Omniverse, but because this is an Omniverse, I'm just going to call him Benwolf. But anyway, and they figure how could this have happened, and Ben says that when he transformed back, it scratched the Omnitrix, and it turns out that the yellow setting, this is actually a setting this is a setting that is later expanded upon. It turns out that whenever a new alien scratches the Omnitrix or touches it or anything, and it's a DNA signature that isn't in the Omnitrix databanks, locked or otherwise, then the Omnitrix will sample that DNA into its databanks, allowing for further transformations later. And that's what it did to this thing, because when it scratched it, because apparently according to supplemental material, this werewolf and other aliens that we'll be seeing later are not from the Milky Way galaxy, which is where all the alien DNA in the Omnitrix is from. But in this case, that's exactly what. But so when it came into contact with the wolf, it sampled the DNA, and now Ben is able to transform into it whenever he wants. Though this is literally the only episode in the entire original series that we ever see this thing. So never mind. I'll just I'll get that into it when I get into my thoughts on Benwolf. But anyway. So they keep tracking down the werewolf because through its rampage it's been stealing all the satellite equipment, and it's still a valid threat. So they follow it into a mountain, which is pretty much a inactive volcano, but it's somehow reactivated it. They've got to run. They manage to get out, Ben saving everyone's lives because they have to jump over a chasm, and the Omnitrix finally times out. So they're about to lead them they're about to get out of the volcano, but the werewolf attacks them again. Ben goes hero and takes care of it, and it looks like everything's fine. Some more because it looks like that the werewolf has been buried beneath all these rocks, or was trapped in the volcano when it erupted. But either way, it looks like it's no longer a threat. So Ben, Gwen, and Max are about to leave, and Ben and Kai have been kind of growing closer. Not really, but we see a little bit of that, But Ben is hopeful that he'll see Kai again, but Kai just outright tells him that she is not his type, and that the only reason she showed interest at all was because she thought he was cool as when he was a werewolf, when he was Benwolf, and thought that if he that he might go feral, and that she could probably train him and tame him, whatever. And of course, Gwen rightfully tells her to screw off because you don't say that to the family, and because Ben is still a person. But Ben is crushed. Gwen offers some consolation words, which I think is nice, because it shows that over the course of the summer, Ben and Gwen have been growing closer. Like there's still family connection, but it shows that because of that through all the adventures, Ben and Gwen have been growing closer. And the episode ends with, and we do figure out exactly where all that satellite equipment went. It turns out that whatever this werewolf is, it was not just taking equipment for the sake of taking it. It was in fact building something, and it looks like, and we see a quick flash of it inside the volcano, which is where it was assembling it. It looks like some sort of transceiver with all the parts, and the episode ends right when it activates. We don't know what it is, and it's a nice cliffhanger for the plot of the story. So, yeah, again, spoiled rotten, which is normal for these vlogs. Sorry, I'm just trying to center it. Anyway, so thoughts on the episode? I think it's pretty. I think it's all right. I think the episode itself is just all right. I don't hate it, but when I was a kid, I thought this was one of my favorite episodes. But not well, growing up now that I'm older, it's still entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but it's not great. I think it's again, it's not awful. And if you do genuinely love this episode, more power to you. I'm glad you like it. It's just that now I think it's all right. But so first, let me talk about the positives. I do kind of like seeing more of Max's more stuff from Max's past that's not negative, like when we met with Phil. Instead, he has a friend that he's kept in touch with. They're visiting up, and it's nice seeing them again. I kind of like seeing that. I kind of like seeing more of Ben just kind of going through life as he gets his first crush, and of course, because of the name Crush, Ben gets crushed pretty much. He's just like when Kai just pretty much tells him that she's not interested, and in a rather douchey way. But this isn't. I think the big problem is that there's not really much of a connection between the two. It really is just Ben pining for her. Like the first time they have an interaction is Ben saving her life, which is a cute moment when after Ben saves her, he's just kind of talking himself up, and through the whole thing, he's just holding her hand until she points it out to him. It's cute. It's really cute, but every other time they talk, there's not really much of a connection. It's just kind of Ben trying to play himself up, or saying be careful, or just making himself look like an idiot because as he's transforming, he's developing more wolf-like tendencies. So yeah, again, the romance could have been better, but it's still kind of cute to see Ben get his first crush. And again, I also mentioned Gwen jumping to Ben's defense when Kai says she doesn't want to be with him she's not really interested in him, which I like. I like seeing them jump towards each other, kind of defending each other despite the fact that they've quarreled. And I'm trying to think what else is there. Well, again, I also like the werewolf. We don't really know much about it because again, the main characters don't know anything about it beyond. Even then, you don't know what the transceiver is at the end of the episode. It's just you see it, you know that the werewolf was building it, so obviously it was smart. Because again, that was part of what was making it. It was feral. It was attacking. It was just whenever we saw it take technology or even that, it was just kind of fair. It was just seemed to be ripping it up. Like it just seemed to be doing all this random attacking for no reason. But it shows it was building this. You just don't know what it's for, and you're not going to see that till the end of the season. Because that's this season's plot. First season was Vilgax, second season was Kevin, and now it's whatever with this thing and a few other and some other aliens that we'll be seeing later. But anyway, that's spoiler territory. But that's spoiler territory, and I know we talk about spoilers all the time here, but those are future vlogs. I'll talk about those when I get to them. But I'm getting off topic. I'm trying to think of things I can talk about for this episode, and there's not really a lot. I think well. Yeah. Oh yeah. I almost forgot. This is what I want to talk about. I think another thing that I like about this episode is that we see more functions from the Omnitrix, and I love that, and I like that. I like when we see more about the Omnitrix and just see more of how it works. And in this case, we see the capture mode, because in season 2 we saw there were a couple episodes where Ben got new aliens, like there was the Big Tick and then Camp Fear with the introductions of Cannonbolt and Wildvine, and that's actually kind of a funny thing there, and that's actually kind of a nice tidbit. In this episode, Ben transforms into none of his aliens from the original 10. It's all new aliens, Cannonbolt, Wildvine, and yes, Benwolf. But anyway, so and it is really nice. And in this case, we see, and it's really cool because it allows us to see more how it functions, and we see. And it's really kind of cool just to see him transform into this new alien. And my thoughts on Benwolf, and again, here's my thoughts on Benwolf. It's kind of similar to the werewolf, and I think it is very well designed. I like it's well designed. I love how it's designed. I like its kind of wolf-like tendencies. I like how even before Ben knows it's an Omnitrix transformation, he's taking advantage of it, and we see more of what it's like, how it sees the world. It's just kind of flushed purple. And that's kind of a nice little instance, too. The werewolf from before is has a purple motif because it's got purple eyes, and one of its powers is it can do a sonic yell, split its maw into four, and just shoot out a yell that's purple sound waves. And for Ben, he has green eyes and green sound waves, and it's really nice. I like that. It's cool. But I think my big problem with Benwolf is that you don't see him like at all. Actually, scratch that. This is the only episode that Benwolf ever makes an appearance in the entire first series. He doesn't make an appearance in Alien Voyage. He doesn't make an appearance in Ultimate Alien. The only time he makes an appearance then is in Omniverse, and even then, I don't think it's very often. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't watched a lot of Omniverse, but it just kind of feels. But it just doesn't really make for much sense. Because when I was younger, I thought he was really cool because I read this one appearance. That was it. But the problem is that he doesn't appear again. He never appears again. He doesn't appear again at all throughout the rest of the series. And it really is kind of annoying. Because he's got, and as we see, again, I don't want to just forget, and I don't like that. I don't like having Ben just forget his aliens, or just ignore them, or something like that. No. This alien is just gone. You never see it again, and it's not, to my knowledge, aside from the plot important episodes, it's not alluded to, which is kind of annoying. So, yeah. I'm not dissing Benwolf, or Blitzwolf, or whatever. I'm not dissing him. I think he's pretty good. I just wish that we could have seen more of him. Because, from what we see, he is pretty useful. He is a nice fighter. He's got some nice strengths. It's just that we don't see him that much, if at all. So, anyway, let's talk about what I didn't like. I think my biggest problem with this is just kind of the romance. And, or the crush, in this case. Ben's crush. Again, part of it is just that he and Kai, it's, again, in some cases it makes sense. Ben's a kid, Ben's a kid, he's a 10-year-old, he's arrogant, of course he's going to talk himself up, but otherwise it's not really done. There's not really much of a connection between him and Kai, so you can kind of see immediately why she just says, you're not my type. I think another major complaint is, well, kind of the werewolf itself, because I like that it is feral, I like that it is attacking things, but this is meant to be the villain of the thing, but there's nothing really to it beyond that. It's just attacking things, you don't know why, and again, I think it's good for the overarching plot. I like that. It builds up anticipation. I like that. I really do like that. And because even that little show at the end, it's really nice, but you don't know, and you don't see. And it's assumed that it's gone. It is assumed, which, spoiler warning, that's proven wrong in a later episode. But I just keep talking about future episodes. I think really in that case, as part of the overarching plot for season 3, I think it does its job well. It sets everything up. It sets everything up. It begins laying plot threads, which is something you don't really see that much of in the series. Even the Kevin 11 Vilgax storyline wasn't really built up that much. It was just Kevin doing random appearances, and then it culminated into the end of the episode. But in this case, it is laying down plot lines. You don't know every little thing, which I think could make for a good strength, which I think I might talk about later. But I think, because now that I think about it, this is a plot important episode for this season. And what makes it work is that I think, unlike the first two plot lines, it does a better job of implementing it. Because in the case of the Vilgax plot, all we saw was Vilgax taking action to take the Omnitrix until finally just said, "Screw it, I'm going." Because it was a nice build up to that, but it didn't really have mystery. You knew what was going to happen. I think the biggest mystery was with Max, which was really nice. Which was nice. I think that was a nice build up and a nice payoff. It's just that with Vilgax, you knew that part was going to come up, and that was really the meat of everything. In this one, and in the second season, there wasn't really much of a plot line. You saw Kevin twice before that, and then the final episode just finally had him coming back, and except he's working with Vilgax. In this one, they do set up plot lines, and they don't immediately answer them, because even the main characters are wondering what the werewolf wanted with all this equipment, and they never figure it out. So, the audience sees this, and they start wondering what's going on. But the episode ends before that, which I think works. I think it really does work. And it's weird. I was talking about this as a complaint, but now I'm complimenting it. But I think mainly my complaint just lies in the fact that the werewolf just does not have much personality beyond snarling attack dog. And that's really all I can think. That's kind of it. That's my biggest complaint with the villains, the romance. We don't really see. And apparently, there's supposed to be a subplot with Kai not liking how some traditions are going. Or, I don't know if it's really a subplot or anything. It doesn't really go anywhere. But I don't know. Again, I think it's just an alright episode. Actually, now thinking about it, I think maybe scratch it. So that's pretty good. I think for an I think as an individual, I think as a standalone episode, it's all right. As part of the overarching story, I think it's actually pretty good. It sets up plot lines that are brought up later. It introduces some new aliens. Again, I think my biggest complaints are just in just how Werewolf doesn't really have much personality. Benwolf's one-time appearance, and just kind of the crush. Which, those aren't really, because those are really not, because I think the crush, I think my biggest complaint with the crush is that it just doesn't really have much to it, except when compared to everything else that's shown in the episode, and it takes a bit of a big part, and it takes a bit of a big section of it, and that's really it. I think I'm just going a little, I think I might be just overanalyzing it a bit, but I don't know. This is probably my longest vlog. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I try not to go overboard with. I try not to go too overboard with these. So I really think that's all I can. I think that's really all I can think of, because I feel like I want to say more, but I can't think of anything else to say. I like that we get to see more of the Omnitrix. I like to see that we get. I like this. I like seeing the new alien, even if he's only shown once. I like just kind of seeing them try and take on this thing. I love the this starts the overarching plot, and it does it in a nice little mysterious way. And I like the designs, of course. I like seeing more Max's past. I think my biggest problem is that the romance, is that the crush subplot doesn't really add much to the story. I don't like that they only showed Benwolf this one time. And even the werewolf, which I think it looks cool. I like how it acts. It doesn't really have much of a personality, and thus doesn't really make it a good strength for a villain. It's not awful. Just I see another. It's not awful. It's still kind of nice, but it's really just there. I should probably stop here before I go off on a tangent, because I'm about to go. I think about like I am. So anyway, yeah. If you're still watching this, I thank you. And I thank you for watching. And tune in next week. We look at the next episode, where we look at one, which I think I can still legitimately say is another one of my favorite episodes in the series. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and tune in next week for a vlog that is hopefully not the same length as the episode. So.